you remember the Assassin's Creed movie? You know, starring Michael Fassbender? I remember when I first watched the movie, I was enjoying myself. However, the end came and showing that final shot over the city, and I thought to myself, what the fuck was any of that? Yeah, it looked cool, had a semi-promising premise, but it lacked any real deep substance. Well, that feeling is echoed in this year's Electronic Entertainment Expo. So, let's talk about E3 2019. This show feels like it gets less and less special every year, but there was still plenty of good time to be had with the shows put on by gaming industry giants and Devolver. The show this year lacked PlayStation, but in its absence, everyone else brought their A-game. While this year may have been a weaker year, several companies showed off some announcements which fucking got me to shriek out as if I was being stabbed. This year, I'll be grading the conferences, so it's more transparent in how I think they stack up against each other. Now, enough with the verbal foreplay. Let's talk about games. EA, annoyingly, decided to forego a legitimate press conference this year in favor of drip-feeding information via the EA Play livestream. And while I may not enjoy 90% of EA games, I tuned into the livestream for the purpose of the information. And let me say, after the past 2 years of EA being pretty meh, I genuinely enjoyed watching the EA Play livestream more than in their past 2 conferences. The main thing EA had to show was Respawn's Jedi Fallen Order. They showed off a decent amount of gameplay and talked about some of the details, and I have mixed feelings. The game looks incredible, like a Jedi Uncharted, a proper Star Wars action RPG is not a game we've had in a very long time. On the other, with both Fallout 76 and Battlefront 2, I need to not be trusting of a game when it's first shown off at E3, especially when it's EA. Other than that, they showed off smaller things about its existing games, Madden, FIFA, Apex Legends, Sims, and Battlefield. None of these are really my thing, and they are older games, but I would still argue EA had a kinda solid show this year. EA gets a C+. Is it bad that the 2 most hype announcements to me from Microsoft were 2 games that weren't exclusive to Xbox nor even had more than 2 minutes focusing on them? LEGO Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga, and Minecraft Dungeons unironically pulled the most attention from me. Outer Worlds looks like Fallout New Vegas cross Borderlands, and I'm intrigued to see more of it. And oh my gosh, am I in love with Bleeding Edge, an Overwatch type game that focuses on melee combat with interesting ass character design. I really hope this is the next game that takes off, because I really love everything this game is pushing. Blair Witch looks fine, but I'm too pussy for horror games, so I'll just stick to watching some random YouTuber play it. Battletoads looks awful in all the right ways. If the new Battletoads game is shitty like the old one was, I'd be all over it. Now, with Cyberpunk, I'm still not in love with it. The gameplay looks cool, but these big open world FPS games aren't really my thing. And while the gameplay looks fun, I'm not too into it. However, the Keanu reveal was pretty fun, especially the whole "you're breathtaking" bit. I'm not into Gears 5. I was barely into the last Gears game, so this trailer has not done anything special for me. Psychonauts 2 looks rough. I understand it's a cult classic game finally getting a sequel, but these graphics are nothing short of just hard to look at. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot looks bad. Dying Light 2 looks alright though. The LEGO expansion for Forza is the only Forza game I've ever been interested in, and Borderlands 3 got a pretty cool trailer. However, I was pretty much already sold about that. And then they talked about Project Scarlet, which, cool, I guess, but there isn't anything that has me super sold on it yet. It's just another Xbox. If they had nothing to really show, then why bother with the whole developer montage? And of course, lastly, Halo Infinite, which, meh. Halo games have a serious problem with having trailers very loosely related to the games for the sense of the shock value of, oh, it's Chief. And I enjoyed the trailer, but the whole shock doesn't work when they start with, here is Halo. I'm looking forward to it, no doubt, but I'm no more sold on it than when I first saw it last year. Overall, Microsoft showed too many cinematics and not enough gameplay to keep me interested or hyped for games. Microsoft gets a B. I think my biggest regret during this whole YouTube thing is saying Bethesda won E3 last year, because they proceeded to shit the bed at every possible opportunity last year. And this E3 was not better. With Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield initially dropped out of the way, 2 mobile games getting a stupid amount of screen time, and the new IP they announced not showing any gameplay, no amount of self-aware bashing, cute excited presenters, cool streaming services, or DLC for the one successful game and the least successful game of last year could win me over. However, I will say, Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop kinda have me sold even without gameplay, and Doom Eternal still has my eyes. They had nothing big to show at the one place they needed to show all the big things. Bethesda gets a D+. Devolver does their thing again this year with the Devolver Direct, and as always, it's a good fucking time. My friend Pedro and Carrion look bananas cool, and the Fall Guys thing looks fun, but as usual, it's kinda hard to compare Devolver and their shenanigans to the rest. Just go watch it. Devolver gets a D. Volver Digital. So, as you may know by now, Watch Dogs is one of my favorite AAA game series, with the first one being the first open world shooter I played, and the second one providing me and my friends plenty of shenanigans throughout the years. Watch Dogs has been one of my favorite game series pretty much as soon as it was announced. With this being said, Watch Dogs Legion, I was iffy on the concept when it was leaked, but in execution, god, everything about that game just looks incredible. The likelihood that every interaction / character in the game is going to have as much dialogue or story presence as they showed is slim, but if they do even half of what was shown in that gameplay demo, I'll consider that a win. Everything about that looked like just so much fun. However, for the rest of Ubisoft, I'm sick of Tom Clancy. Don't get me wrong, the works of fiction he created and inspired is an achievement, but Ubisoft branding every game as Tom Clancy's blank is starting to feel more like if we brand it as Tom Clancy, we'll get more money, more than anything else. I'm not big on Rainbow Six, however, some of my buddies are, so I know there's a decent amount excited for Quarantine, but for me personally, not my thing. Same thing with Breakpoint. And did anyone actually like Elite Squad? I'm seriously wondering who that was for. Other than that, Roller Champions was fun, and I have not seen enough to form an opinion for Gods and Monsters. Once again though, not enough gameplay was actually shown throughout the entire demonstration. It's almost like once they did Watch Dogs Legion, they gave up. A pretty solid showing though, and who doesn't love these Just Dance numbers they do every year? Ubisoft gets a B+. One common complaint I see when it comes to people online in cartoons is the whole cowl art style. You know, like every popular cartoon nowadays has the same art style. And while I don't know the legitimacy of every art student having the same style, I can guarantee you that Square Enix has a style that every one of their games falls into. They started off strong with the amazing Final Fantasy VII remake and tons of gameplay, but goddamn if every other thing they showed didn't feel like the exact game over and over again. Granted, JRPGs aren't really my thing, but they all looked / felt the same to me. Outriders looks fine, I guess, and I really liked seeing Kingdom Hearts DLC again, but oh my god, so many JRPGs. However, the entire showing, me and my friends were raving for some Avengers gameplay. And I love the Avengers. The MCU movies are some of my favorites. And when they finally showed the Avengers game, something about the character models, the voice actors, and what they promised of gameplay all scared me. 5 characters, always online, and a post-release content roadmap that is coming out for free. I couldn't help but feel disappointed, and I still think it's just gonna be Anthem with a Marvel skin. I'm really hoping I'm wrong, but this is just gonna be rough. Either way, Ultimate Alliance 3 is going to be the Avengers game to play this year, no doubt. Square Enix gets a B-. Now, I've never been shy about my love for Nintendo and the Switch. Ever since I got one of these bad boys, I was carrying it with me every day, whether it be to school, to my friends, or to work, or literally just anywhere else. So, I'm a bit biased. But bias aside, Nintendo won E3 this year, no fucking doubt. They had the most variety, showed the most gameplay, and showed off a butt ton of games. 2 new Smash characters, both of whom were incredibly requested and wanted, as much as people on the internet want to pretend the Luminary was a character no one cared about. Luigi's Mansion getting gameplay, Link's Awakening getting a release date, and the Dungeon Maker, Collection of Mana, the Trials of Mana remake, No More Heroes, 2 Resident Evils, Fire Emblem, that mech game no one cares about getting a release date, Mario and Sonic, Animal Crossing, and of course Breath of the Wild 2, and that's not even all of them! They look pretty solid, except for that Witcher release, that looks rough. And that Breath of the Wild sequel getting announced, while it may be a while off, it's nice to know that it's coming. And they showed off actual gameplay for most of these. Nintendo gets an A, no doubt. So, in reflection, it may be a weaker year overall, but everyone still brought their A game. It really feels like a lot of cool visuals and cinematics, but not a lot of substance deeper than that. Kinda like the Assassin's Creed movie. Just replace Fassbender with Keanu Reeves. But honestly, who cares if this was worse than 2016 or some shit? This is all in the name of video games, right? And we love video games, so as long as new video games keep coming out and I continue to have ownership of them, I have no problems myself. If you like what I've been doing here, do the likes and the subscribes. As always, I've been RVRocks, and thank you so much for watching. See ya!